Hi there, and welcome to our little review on Cards and Cardboard. We are doing a review for a game called Harbour. Many of you know that Kickstarter is a big thing these days, and while people think that board games are failing in this day and age, Kickstarter is really there to kind of say, no, board games are going to be on there every week. You know, some new project's going to pop up that's going to catch everyone's attention. Uh, I myself have been pretty involved with the Kickstarter scene. I've gotten things from various game companies that I'm going to review someday. But we're going to start with Harbour here. Harbour is a nice light, well, I wouldn't say light, it's definitely light by weight, game that you can put in your backpack for about 1 to 4 players. Now what it is it's kind of a tiny economic game based off the ideas of building your resources and then trading them off at port to buy buildings to make enough victory points to beat your opponents out. So we're going to go ahead and dive right into this box and see what's in there. So believe it or not, you're actually going to get all of this stuff in this tiny little box, including sleeved cards. Not sleeved player cards, however. It's a little hard to fit everything in there if you were to do that. But it's a really tight fit when you actually sleeve these cards, and you'll have to like double layer these and then make sure all these wooden tokens are flat in their little baggie. So you're getting quite a lot in this little box, and probably even more if you got the Kickstarter edition. So we'll start here with this little rulebook. It's a standard little fold-out rulebook. I personally don't like these very much, but it serves its purpose really well and explains all the rules to you in detail from how you're going to set up play and then what each of the abilities do on the cards, and really truly it's pretty well written. I can't complain about it other than the style that it's folded up. You're going to have a huge number of these various land tile cards, as you want to put them. Each of these represents a building that is available for purchase. They will have a purchase value and a victory point value and an ability, and then usually some iconography there to represent some of the special actions that they do. Basically what you're going to do is for the setup of the game, you're going to have 3 of those plus the number of players. So for a 2-player game, that's going to be 5 cards. For the full complement of 4 players, it's going to be 7 cards. That's going to build out your town that you're going to be putting these little workers on. These little workers represent your little goblin henchmen going around and doing your bidding around town. Now, there's also one more building icon that each character has, and it's actually displayed on their personal card. And that's where most of the game starts. Everyone will have their own goblin there. Now, these character cards are unique in the fact that they're dual-sided with a generic character called the Dwarfs, which have pretty much no special abilities, and the most generic starting point for any card. Whereas things like this Clockwork Tradesman has a specialty building where they can get bonus fish and a good instead of just 2 of any random goods. And also building a building, or rather ore. But they also have this other listed ability there that gives them a unique advantage. There's 14 advertised on the box. I think I may have gotten more from the Kickstarter edition, to be honest. You're looking at a pretty thick little stack here of all these characters to play with, and this is going to guarantee a lot of the replayability and the asymmetry in the game. So they're definitely worth checking out. If you're especially looking for a game with a lot of replay value. The building cards themselves do a pretty decent job of that as well, being that there's probably about 100 of them. I would know because 2 packs of sleeves came in here, and it was almost exactly enough to sleeve them all. You also have these bonus cards that give a player who has it a special bonus at the end of the game if they have a certain resource at the end of the game. So, for example, if I had the wood one, if I had 6 wood here, I would get 5 extra victory points. At the end of the game, which is determined when somebody buys their 4th building, that's when the game will end, and then whoever has the most victory points from their buildings, and if you're playing with this, their bonuses as well, will actually be the winner. All of that is determined based off of this little market board. Now, the market board will have its own set of assets on it as well, the 4 being fish, meat, stone, and wood. These will shift up and down based on the demand and supply. As players, say, ship a fish and a meat for 9 money, the stone and the wood will then move up, and then the meat and the fish will then take their turn, being on the lower end of demand as they have just shipped. A lot of the cards will actually give you the abilities to change positions of the current marketplace, and that's going to be one of those strategies in the game that you're going to have to utilize in order to really succeed, as well as being able to build buildings. Now, for the 3 and 4 player game, there's a backside of this card, and that's going to have an Inland Traders variant, as it's called, which is going to give players more opportunity to get more gold, because this is going to be kind of chaotic. If they have one of every good, they may ship one of those as well, one from each of every good for an additional 3 money, which is a good catch-up mechanism. One thing that I have a little bit of a sore point on is this training dummy. This is meant for a solo game, and a lot of the rules for it are on the back of the card. This is a great idea because you can read all these rules, and they're right there for you. However, when you're in the middle of gameplay and you got a question, as it is with certain buildings not necessarily working with the wooden robot that are all listed on the back of the card, you're going to either have to remember where you put your goods and flip the card around, or you're just going to have to memorize everything on the back. It would have been really nice if they would have added just maybe one more card that was included with the training dummy and not just on the back of it. That's like one of my only complaints with this game. Because these character cards, I can understand why on the back of them they're all the dwarfs. You can kind of pick and choose or draft or whatever you want for those, and that's going to give you an interesting gameplay variant. But really and truly, the fronts are all unique, and that's all you really need. The backsides being non-unique is just a nice little benefit there, saying that you can pull out any characters and have just a standard character for everyone if they want to sit on equal footing. Last and least of all is the glorious title of the Harbour Master. This is something that Tasty Minstrel has done with some of their games, where it's just a fun little thing that you post on Twitter or social media of the show. Hey, you won the game, congrats. You know, it's a little personal trophy. So far, I think my wife currently has ownership of this card, and I need to kind of win it back someday. So as you can see, that's all that really comes in here. It's a really good variety. As I'll say later in the review, tons of replay value here. So we'll get right into that right now. You know, I've posted multiple reviews of this on my Twitter and on Amazon for Tasty Minstrel's behalf. They've made themselves a really good game here. Everything is really top quality as far as production quality goes. I like the cards. They work well for what they are. Heck, the Kickstarter even promoted getting free sleeves from Tasty Minstrel now that they're constructing sleeves to go with their games. My only thing, of course, if you sleeve, you're going to have to stack the box a certain way in order to get everything in, but it does fit very well. The wooden bits are pretty clever. Stickers, as always, if you've ever seen any of the other games. I'm looking forward to another game I'm getting from them, which is going to have a multitude of stickers as well, I assume. But all that aside, I mean, it's a great little package. You're getting a decent amount of game out of this for what you pay for it. It's really amazing. I've had groups of 2, 3, and 4, and I've even done a solo game of this, and none of them have really been all that samey. It's really hard to kind of find a good meta in this game because of that shifting market mechanic. There are some buildings that are just a bit more powerful than others, it sometimes feels, but a lot of that is also player balancing. So as you play and kind of learn about these strategies, and the more you play with a special group of people, you know, you're going to get these hardcore gamers trying to figure out what's the best optimal move to make, and then they're going to get smacked down by someone playing the market around a different way. I really can't rave about this game more. I mean, I've played games like Caverna that are kind of in this worker placement style game, and that board never changes. But here with those cards, you know, you're always going to have that random chance of something not quite going your way, and you're going to have to play with your opponents to really figure out what to do. And that also translates relatively well into the solo campaign. It's going to be a tight race, but most of the time I found that you're probably going to win if you're doing really well. You got to really keep an eye on that little AI that they programmed. It's fairly clever. So we're just going to go down the breakdown here. Art quality, just top notch. It's got a cartoony, fun style. It's really going to grab people from its appropriate age group. You know, ages 12 and up, preferably, I would assume. On the back of the box, I believe it says... Oh, that's right. They don't really have that on here. It's in the rulebook, which I, again, have to really hit on a bit. I don't like these fold-up ones. There really is no age range, apparently, for this that I can see on the box. I have looked and looked and looked at this box, and a lot of its advertisements on the side for other games that they've made. All of them I've kind of tried out, and they vary. But this one definitely is up in their upper echelons. So, art, we're going to give a solid, 9 out of 10 on our rating scale. You really can't argue with it. It just works. And it has that theme that goes with Belfort and there are other games in this line. And it's going to give you an interesting idea of what you're playing with. Mechanics. I've never seen something this unique for mechanics, as far as that all the time this market's always shifting, and then you're always having to worry about where you're placing your piece. The only thing I really have to hit on, of course, is like coins and top hats and warehouses. You've really got to figure out what your personal strategy is sometimes, and really and truly, once you get a top hat, being able to go to other people's buildings, there's got to be a way to... so there's somebody out there that probably made some rules to change that up. Because just if everyone gets a top hat, then, everyone's going to be going to each other's buildings. I'm sure maybe there's a ruling in there, like if you have more than other players, then you're allowed to, and you get that privilege. So, but other than that, the shifting cards, the ability to move through the deck quickly, some of the buildings have that kind of quirk to them where you're able to draw cards from the deck and then play one of those, which is kind of a unique advantage. And I could see some people with the specific player powers getting a little out of hand as well. It's still real balanced, though, if you know what you're doing. So you're going to play this maybe about 1 or 2 times and not exactly know what's going on and how you're going to balance against other players. But once you play it like that 3rd time around and start to play with the same people again, you're going to really start to figure out everyone's kind of strategies and really be able to manipulate that market to hopefully benefit you more than them. While your friend's over there stocking his fish up, you can, slide that down on the chain, but then meat goes up and that's affecting that guy over there. So you're going to have to really keep an eye on them. So we're going to give mechanics a solid 7. It's very playable. It's very replayable. Which goes into our next part of the review. It's just so clever in the way it just all blends, and it works really well. The single worker is a great idea for introduction to many worker placement games, and I definitely recommend it as maybe like a intro level worker placement game, as well as moderate to semi-advanced. Like, this isn't going to kill your entire evening, but if you're looking to kill about an hour and a half, it's really good at that. And it does it at a pretty light to medium weight. Replayability. There's a lot in this little box. All those cards, of course, different, and all of the other player cards, even more variety. Kind of wish they would have done a little bit more on the backside of a lot of those cards, but I understand their reasoning for that. Why you would play with just the non-unique player characters is above me. I know a lot of people that play like Eclipse, and they'll try that just so everyone has even footing. But in a game like this, even footing is not really what you want, because those unique advantages really give you that cosmic encounter level of balance where people are not exactly on the same step as each other, but you can knock each other around to constantly move things up and down. So that replayability is huge in here, just with the sheer number of cards that you can play with and player abilities that you can play with too. Not to mention, if you're looking for an interesting challenge, that solo mode is actually very viable as a solo game. So we're going to give that a solid 7 as well. I would hesitantly give it an 8, but only because it really depends on what group you're taking it to. I believe it benefits more with a group that you play with commonly than introducing it to a bunch of new people every time you play it. So, pretty much brings us down to our finale there. I mean, if I'm just going to go with flat numbers, it's a good solid 8. I know I gave it some 7s in there, but that replayability factor, I really have to give that little bump to, because I played this with the same group of people about 3 or 4 times, and it's just been a blast every time. I have to say, this is one of Tasty Mitchell's games that they really caught me pretty heavily, and it's a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of their stuff in time as I do more reviews. So with that being said, we're going to end our review there. I want to take just a moment here and thank my lovely wife for being my editor for this and our entire series so far. Really and truly, we need your guys' comments and feedback. I really want to know, and my wife really wants to know how we're doing. We've got a good number of views, I've noticed. About 100 on 2 of our videos already, and that's per video. So if you're looking at this review and we're interested in Harbour and other board games, let me know. I've got a pretty decent collection that I'm kind of working through right now. I'm looking to maybe do some preview videos or other things in time. But right now, we really need that feedback so we can kind of gauge whether we want to spend more time and money into this. And if things go well, we'll eventually do a Patreon and allow ourselves to maybe upgrade our camera and mic equipment and maybe do some better effects with this green screen back there. So please let us know in the feedback section. Give us thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff that all the YouTubers will say. Just let us know. Dang it.
What?
Oh, you gotta get them all flat in here in order to put the game away properly, because otherwise it'll not sit perfectly. And it's a little like Tetris, very aggravating Tetris. So, do. Royalty-free song, hopefully. What? Wait, are you still rolling? Cut. Please?
What do you mean?
Are you still filming?
Maybe.
Do. Oh, go in. Just lay flat, please. Ugh, all the stickers. All the stickers. Oh, wait. Oh, off. Tetris. There we go. And that's how you put it away. You just get the goblins up there then. It's a little setup and takedown, but it works. It's really easy to take out, at least. Now the bag won't close. Alright, there we go. And then you can just lay the cards in there, stack 2 and 2, and put that up there, put that there, and the rubric. There, see? All in the same box. Ha-ha! Success. A little bulge, but not much.